You know, people call you Casper the Ghost. I was like, maybe it's Casper the Cat.
But that obviously leads to big mistakes sometimes.
No laying up. Laying up's
No.
for basketball.
Yes, that's true.
Casper Ruud, welcome to the Slice.
Thank you.
Welcome to Gstaad as well.
Thank you.
Great year so far. Like, would you say this is the best year of your career, or how would you rate this season so far?
Yeah, well, obviously last year was a bit of a breakout season for me, and reaching the top 10 for the first time was a big step in my career, and I've been able to, keep myself and my ranking inside the top 10s ever since, and hope I can do it for, a longer time, of course, but I knew that this year would be important for me to kind of, in a way, defend everything that I did the last year, and hopefully have at least as good as last year this year, and it has been going better. So yeah, for sure this is the best year so far, and I hope I can have a good second kind of part of the season now after Wimbledon, and had a bit of a tough loss last week, but I will try to bounce back, and I know it's still many more tournaments left, and but this is the second last clay tournament of the year, so I hope I can also finish the clay matches and clay tournaments in a good way.
Yeah, and speaking of clay, Roland Garros was obviously probably very special for you. I found it funny, and we'll talk about your tennis in a second, but I found it funny watching from TV at home, you coming out to play Rafa, your idol. Everyone's talked about it. I'm sure you've been asked a million questions, but in that moment before going onto court, he's like jumping around behind you, like doing all his exercises. Like, I was intimidated. Like, just what? Like, are you intimidated going on court like that?
Not really, because you know that he does it all the time, and I had been running a lot and getting ready myself just in the gym, where I guess I didn't film as much, so that was just the last 30 seconds before we walked on court. So we were both in the gym jumping around and getting ready, so I didn't feel like it was too much intimidation. But obviously when you watch on TV and you think that I didn't do anything and he did this before the match, was maybe not the correct thing, but yeah, obviously he likes to do it and it makes him feel ready, but I also felt ready. I didn't feel like I need to do those things. I had been in motion for 20-30 minutes already, so just some formalities before we were entering the court, he decided to do it. So I mean, it's fine. It's something that you are expecting when you play him, so it wasn't really a surprise or too intimidating, to be honest.
Well, makes sense. You're the pro, and all of us at home, we get scared by Rafa, but hopefully you're up to the task, which you obviously were. You had a great tournament. Just about that tournament, you had a pretty tough route to the final. You played a lot of quality opponents. Like, do you feel, actually, and one of the questions from our fans, Dominic, he asks, like, what are some of the tweaks that you feel like in your game has allowed you to have this breakout season last year and play solidly in the top 10 right now?
Well, I think last year I was very steady in a way throughout the whole year. I didn't have many down periods or down weeks or down tournaments where I didn't play as well as I kind of can or could. So every week was very stable. I reached tons of quarterfinals, semifinals, and winning 5 tournaments in the year. So I did well every week, and I think I showed myself that my body and my mind is capable to play a lot of matches, which was a good indication for obviously the future. And this year it's been some tough losses, but also some really good wins and some really good weeks. So it's a little bit more up and down this year, but when you come to this level, those weeks in a big tournament that you can do well is obviously helps a lot, and that's the most important weeks to be ready, obviously, and it's where you can gain the most points and everything. So this year I've been able to reach a couple of big finals, and of course 1-2 tournaments as well. So it's been a good year all around, but last year it was just match after match. I did really well in I think all the matches I played, and of course everyone loses matches, but I was winning a lot of matches in back-to-back weeks, and I showed that I can do that. And when I came into Roland Garros this year, knowing that it's a 2-week span if you do well, I kind of thought about what I did last year when I won back-to-back tournaments, or if I played many matches in a row, 2 weeks in a row, that my body is ready and fit for it.
And the last thing about tennis, watching you in Geneva the whole week, I noticed your footwork on clay. It's so I found you move very quietly. Is that something you focus on as a tennis player, being very careful with your steps and not overusing energy, and You know, people call you Casper the Ghost. I was like, maybe it's Casper the Cat. Like, you're just so quiet and smooth out there. Is that something you work on?
Well, yeah, obviously footwork is probably the most important thing that we have, and I have that feeling that if I move well, I play well in a way, and obviously I like to take some extra steps or work pretty good or a lot with my feet. So I think in the end, when people or players are getting tired, in best of 5 sets, they typically cramp in the legs because that's what they use the most. It's not the arms or the back or whatever. It's mostly the legs because that's our most important kind of source to move around. So yeah, I mean, it is something I'm working on pretty much every week in a way where I'm doing, maybe not in the tournament week, but the weeks that I have practice, I do fitness on court, we call it, where I'm running around doing specific exercises and yeah, a little bit different movement patterns for clay and hard court and grass, obviously. So there are things that we have to work on all the time.
Switching away from tennis here a little bit, we know you love golf. What's the handicap at right now, would you say?
It is not. I haven't been playing too well this year, to be honest, because I'm playing too much tennis, so I don't have time for golf. So I wish I had more time, but I'm aware that that can happen probably after my tennis career. But
Yeah.
Obviously, when COVID broke out, I was a lot at home and I was playing a lot, and I think my handicap dropped down to 1.5 or 2. So but then I played a lot. So the last 2 years I haven't been able to get that much practice or rounds in. So I would say I'm around 3 or 4 maybe at the moment. So it's going a little bit up and down. I know that my potential is quite good because obviously with the power that tennis players have, I can hit the ball quite far, but at the same time, when the further you hit, the further or the bigger the mistakes can be. So sometimes I mess up completely. So I just need to be a little bit more straight with my
steady,
shots.
control the ball. That's,
yes.
But
I love going for big shots on the golf course because you're there to have fun. So even if it works 1 out of 10 times, that one time is still gonna feel good. So I always go for the big shots and always try to go for the green on the par 5 in 2 shots if I can, obviously, and I'm not afraid to take some chances on the golf course. But that obviously leads to big mistakes sometimes.
No laying up for basketball.
Yes, that's true.
If we played, you'd be giving me a lot of shots. What would you say is more frustrating for you, golf or tennis? Because they're both very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing golf and you have like stretch of holes where you just cannot get, if you can't even scramble for par or bogey, that's probably the worst feeling that I know, doing like triple bogey or double bogey, it's the worst feeling and you just feel so bad. But at the same time, it's in tennis, I mean, when you get broken, it's a bad feeling, and if you feel like you're not in a good rhythm, that's also a bad feeling. So it is similar. There are many similarities to golf, especially when it comes to mental side, but I mean, I'm gonna play thousands of tennis points in my life, and those guys on the golf course are gonna hit thousands of shots. So I mean, you cannot hit every single shot or play every single point perfect. So that you have to accept at some point, and even though you want to, but you just have to accept that that's not gonna be possible, and see how each point plays out and how each shot plays out, I guess.
I actually wanted your thoughts on this. I know it's big weekend for golf right now. The Open's going on. With Live Golf coming in and kind of disrupting that ecosystem, do you think that the tennis world is vulnerable to something like that happening?
I'm not sure. I mean, obviously there could be another tour than the ATP Tour in the future. That's not up to me or to decide, but would maybe be healthy for the tennis system if there was another option. But that in golf you already have that. You have the PGA Tour and you have the European Tour. So now you have the third one, Live Tour, and I mean you have other tours as well, the Asian Tour, PGA Latin America, Corn Ferry Tour. So we don't have that many tours in tennis. In tennis is pretty much ATP Tour. So in a way it could be a fun option if there was a second tour, or if there was like a league with teams or whatever. I think many people or players have kind of enjoyed, playing around with that idea. But I don't think it will happen in the near future. So let's see. But it's I know it's a lot talked about, and I don't think it's gonna happen, right away. That's gonna take some time, and I think the way we're playing and traveling around now is, very, very good way, and we are playing nice clubs, nice areas. So I think many players would prefer to stick to the tour here.
And last question, I'm new to the tour. I've been following around Europe. I'm from Canada originally. Do you have any suggestions or tips, like travel tips for me? I've been asking all the players travel tips for me, as travel is very intense.
In Europe,
Just in general.
in general, well, we travel so much, so I have some good tips, but not many people have been to Norway that I see around in the world. So many have been to Sweden and Denmark, but Norway is, I think, is even prettier than those two countries. It's a bit more expensive in Norway, but we have like the fjords, and if the weather is good in the summer, you can go up north. You have something that we call the midnight sun, where the sun never goes down. So at midnight or 1 or 2 a.m. it looks like a sunset, but then it starts going up again. It never goes down. So you have the daylight every hour of the day. So that's quite interesting. And Norway is I think is a good option.
Yeah, well, my wife's actually Norwegian. I know your partner's Norwegian, so
yeah,
lots of good things from Norway.
yes,
It seems.
yes.
Good tennis players as well. Casper, thanks for being on the Slice, and we're cheering you on for the rest of the season. Good luck.
Thank you.